In the massive, quiet expanse of Antarctica, life boils down to 3 unbreakable rules: eat, breed, survive. For a penguin, the colony is life. The ocean is the pantry. There is no other way. But in 2007, a film crew saw something that broke every single rule. They filmed one single Adélie penguin that stopped. He turned his back on the colony. He turned his back on the ocean, his only source of food, and started walking. He was walking toward a mountain range 70 kilometers away. That is a death sentence. This baffling moment led the director, Werner Herzog, to ask a question that has haunted the internet ever since. Is there such thing as insanity among penguins? To understand how profoundly wrong this journey was, you have to understand the biology. Adélie penguins are living, breathing GPS units. They navigate thousands of miles across featureless ice using the sun and the Earth's magnetic fields. For them, the instinct to return to the sea is as fundamental as the instinct to breathe. And here is the terrifying part. This penguin wasn't lost. He wasn't confused. When the scientists tried to herd him back toward the food, he fought them. He actively resisted. He was absolutely certain of where he was going, even though that path was leading straight to his death. That stubborn certainty is what kicked off the internet's favorite theory. The footage exploded online because people related to it. We looked at this lonely penguin marching into nothing, and we saw a creature that had had enough. It became a meme, a mood, a symbol for anyone feeling overwhelmed. The internet named him the Nihilist Penguin, a bird choosing to check out. But biologists have a different word for this: anthropomorphism. This is where the viral story and the scientific reality split in 2 completely different directions. Anthropomorphism is our habit of projecting human feelings onto animals. It makes for a great story, but it hides a truth that is much stranger than a sad penguin. Here is the biological fact: a penguin's brain cannot conceptualize suicide or future death. They lack the prefrontal cortex capacity for that abstract thought. He wasn't walking toward death because he wanted to die. He was walking toward death because his brain was screaming that it was the only way to survive. So if it wasn't depression, what was it? The leading scientific theory is far more terrifying: a catastrophic failure of the internal guidance system. His biological compass wasn't just off, it was inverted. Imagine your GPS glitches and tells you that north is actually south. You aren't trying to get lost. You are following the directions perfectly. You are confident. The problem isn't you. The problem is the map. That is exactly what was happening inside this penguin's brain. Scientists have 3 working theories for this glitch. 1. A neurological infection of parasite swelling the brain tissue and distorting magnetic perception. 2. Sensory overload, the endless white landscape causing a whiteout in the visual cortex. 3. The Mirage Glitch, the shimmering mountains in the distance looked like open water to his brain, locking him onto a fatal destination. The internet says the motivation was despair. The science says the motivation was survival. The goal wasn't death. The goal was food. But his broken compass told him the mountains were the ocean. This is why we are still haunted by this footage years later. It's not just a biology lesson. The tragedy isn't watching an animal give up. The tragedy is watching a creature act with 100% conviction based on information that is dead wrong. You see him marching with purpose, and you want to scream at the screen, "Turn around. You're going the wrong way." But he can't hear you, because to him, those deadly mountains look exactly like life. And that forces us to look in the mirror. It forces the question, what false data are we following? What mountains are you walking toward, absolutely convinced they are the ocean? Completely unaware that you're heading away from the very things you need to survive? So what happened to him on that final lonely march? The scientists explain their hands were tied. The Antarctic Treaty forbids interfering with wildlife, even to save a life. And even if they turned him around, his broken map would have just spun him back toward the mountains the second they let go. Dr. Ainley confirmed the outcome. The penguin just kept walking. He marched 20 kilometers into the frozen interior until his energy reserves ran out. He almost certainly froze or starved to death out there, a tiny, determined creature, all alone in the empty space. He never found his phantom ocean. He never even reached the mountains. This isn't a story about giving up. It's a tragic story about the powerful drive to live. It is a haunting reminder that no matter how strong your will to survive is, we are all at the mercy of our internal compass. And it shows just how vital it is to make sure ours is pointing in the right direction.